Welcome, everyone. This is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor, and I am the host of the Inspirational Business Women Show. And I want to welcome you all here today. I'm very excited to be highlighting some extraordinary women that are going to be able to help inspire you in your business. So you can learn from their experiences, their passions, even their challenges. They'll be providing tips and strategies to help you grow your business. So I want to welcome you all here today. And go ahead and type in the comment section below the event page where you're hanging out from, who you are. We want to welcome all of you to the show. And I'd like to say that this show is sponsored by hangout-marketing.com. Hangoutmarketing.com, you can learn how to reach new heights of visibility, social influence, and success using Google Hangouts on air. So if you'd like more information on that, all you need to do is to text the word success, S-U-C-C-E-S-S. You can text that to 307-269-2040. And I'm really thrilled today because I am welcoming a dear friend of mine, Lynn Sanders, and she is going to be sharing with us some wonderful, inspiring stories, ideas, tips, and strategies to help you grow your business. Now, Lynn Sanders is the CEO, the founder, and the creative director of Park Avenue Marketing. And I know you're going to be inspired by her story, inspired by her journey, and all the things that she's experienced as she's grown her business. And you know, she's a 25-year veteran in marketing. And so I think she's going to have so much to share. We both were talking about how we wished we had more time to go through all the topics we have today. But we're going to do our best to bring these ideas to you in a concise manner so you can pick up these ideas and use them in your own business. And that is the intention of this show. So today, when we're talking to Lynn, we're going to talk to her about her difference maker media and how that got started and why that's such a passion of hers. She did produce the Make a Positive Difference show on Blog Talk Radio, and she's going to be transforming that very soon into a hangout show for difference makers. You know, she was also the award-winning producer of a patient safety video, and I think you'll find that story inspiring because it has a lot to do with how she evolved into working with difference makers. Also, she's the author of a children's book called Social Justice, How You Can Make a Difference. So she's even inspiring this idea in our young people. So today we're going to ask Lynn a few questions, or I will, and you can put your questions into the comment box below. We're going to find out a little bit more about how that award-winning video came to be and how it evolved into her passion for difference makers. And she's going to provide us with top 3 tips to write great copy that you can apply in your own business, and also some great tips on how to work with and relate to the media. So I'm just thrilled to have Lynn with us, and I want to go ahead and welcome you, Lynn. Come on and say hi to our audience, please.
Well, thank you, Virginia. You are a master host, and I am honored and privileged to be a guest on your program. I want to welcome everyone else who's listening. I really appreciate your being here, and I always feel there's a higher reason for everything happening, so I believe that we are all linked here together for a reason to make a more positive difference in the world. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Virginia.
Oh, Lynn, I'm thrilled to have you here. And you know, your story has inspired me, and I look for women to be on the show who are an inspiration. I assume if they're an inspiration to me, you're going to be an inspiration to other people. And again, my passion has become, let's get all this information out there. We women are such great relators and great support people, and that's what this show is all about, is supporting other business women and helping them reach new heights of success. So let's start with a little background, Lynn. Can you just tell me a little bit about how you got into marketing in the first place and how that evolved for you?
Certainly. Well, my very beginnings in the industry actually date back to 1979. From 1979 to 85, I was actually working at a commercial music company where I wrote commercial lyrics like Chicago's very own Channel 9, which was my claim to fame, as well as trade shows for Fortune 500 companies where I helped them put their marketing focus into a play. Basically, it was a musical show at a trade show. So I came up with the positioning statement and the 5 to 7 minute musical show. I wrote all the words and lyrics, and we had a composer write music to them. And I did that for about 7 years, and then evolved into my own company, a writing company, Park Avenue Productions, which then evolved into Park Avenue Marketing, where I worked. Because of an incident that happened to me, I ended up focusing more of my time on difference makers, both businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits who are having a passion to help others in education, healthcare, and also in social services.
Well, it sounds like you've helped so many businesses already, and it just started out that you ended up writing and working in theater. Is that how I understood this to be?
No, I was working at a commercial music company, so we wrote music for commercials. I am a writer and actually have a background in music education, so I felt it was a perfect fit for me to write copy, the words that went to music and was on, radio and TV. And I also wrote live trade shows. So these were mini musical shows for Fortune 500 companies. So if they were selling, for instance, Johnson & Johnson was selling their products, and we came up with a Superman theme, so it was Johnson Man, or Reynolds Aluminum, or Hanes. I wrote Pull Your Way Up to the Top with Today's Girl, a line of hose. And I wrote a little show with 1 or 2 talent. So it was business theater. And because of my experience, I ended up starting my own writing company, and people gave me work to do writing for them.
Fabulous. That clarifies for me, because I was a little bit confused, and it's just because you did so much so early. I'm just really amazed and inspired. Well, let's move on then to how this then evolved into, you said you've been doing this for 25 years now, and let's get a couple of highlights about what really was the most, a couple things. What was the most challenging for you during this period, and then what was the most inspiring experience for you?
You mean before I started my own business, Virginia, or when I started my own business?
You can say before if you prefer, if that's a good information, but I was thinking about once you had started your own business.
Sure. Well, really, I think everything in life, as I wanted to communicate with everyone, really comes down to our belief in ourselves. So before I started my own business, I was getting to the realization that I needed to be paid more for what I was doing, and I recognize that I need to value myself before others will value me. So I started my own business, and because of the encouragement of people who had become my friends, business colleagues, they gave me all types of writing assignments. And so I got inspired because I was able to do projects that I hadn't done before. For instance, I was asked to write video scripts, and I had written copy for trade shows, but not for video scripts. So I learned to do that because people gave me the opportunity. I was asked to write newsletters. I wrote for Convenient Food Mart's World Headquarters. I started getting all kinds of writing projects because I put out the intention I wanted them. And so that was positive. The obstacle, which became a learning lesson for me, was I realized I needed to develop a focus even in my writing. Because I was just saying I'll do any type of writing, I ended up writing catalog copy and technical copy, which really I realized was not my forte. It's not something that got me inspired. So if it didn't get me inspired, then, was I really doing the best for my clients? They liked what I did very much, and I realized, though, I needed to be careful with my time and be able to give my time to what I love the most. So that's the first, just overall marketing tip that I would give to everyone is, whatever you're doing, really think carefully about if it's something that you're passionate about. If you love writing technical copy, that's great. There are people who want that copy. If you love a particular topic, then focus in on that. But I came across many realizations during my journey. I'd especially like to share with you the patient safety video journey, because it really transformed my life and how I am right now.
I'd love to hear some about that, because, I think that sounds like an incredible service for you, a service that you provided, and I know there's a story behind that, and I think we could all not only use the information the story and its background, but the information would be valuable to many, many people who have experienced a loved one being in the hospital and not knowing how to best care for them. So please talk to us about that.
Okay, thanks, Virginia. Well, as many people out there in the world do, we all do a job, you know, whether it's our own business or someone else's business, and sometimes we're just waiting for someone to give us the project. Especially if you're an entrepreneur listening, you're maybe waiting for some particular client to call you. But what happened to me was around the fall of 2004, about 10 years ago, I was approached by a very dear friend, Rick Irwin, who's an outstanding videographer, and he said, you know, Lynn, I know all the people to put together our own product, and let's do our own product. How about it? Our own video. So I thought, well, it sounded like a good idea. His friend and my mutual friend, Ernie Schubert, had just encountered a very serious staph infection at a doctor's office that required hospitalization, and it was basically because of a medical error. And then Ernie encountered more errors in the hospital. So we said, you know, let's do a patient safety video. There's nothing else like it. And Rick's good friend, Betty Hefner, was a PR professional, and we thought, why not just get the story out there, how people can stay safe, what are things that people need to know. So we put this whole process into effect where we started doing research on patient safety, and the figures were pretty staggering and actually were even underestimated. Prior to this time, I had no idea about patient safety in hospitals, no experience. And I found out at that early time that close to 100,000 deaths happen every year as a result of medical errors and unnecessary infections in the hospital. And these are all preventable. And at that time, we also learned that patient errors accounts for one of the top 10 causes of death in this country. But the more recent research, which I found out in 2010, indicated that actually 100,000 unnecessary deaths is a low figure, I'm sorry to say, but the real figures are between 210 to 440,000 people every year are dying. And it's horrible. And then to make the story even stronger, after doing this video, which was the around 2005 period, 3 years later, I myself was a victim of medical error, and I'm happy to be around, and that's a whole other story. And just 2 years ago, my father-in-law was a victim of 2 medical errors, which unfortunately he passed away from. So whether you have or have not been exposed to having patient errors, it's an important topic for all of us to be aware of because it's happening all around us, and we all need to be prepared. So I wanted to share that during this time, I feel that things are led to us for a higher reason. So I realized this was my first time I was creating my own product. I wasn't being given the project, but I had a series of traumatic events that happened to me right during the making of this video. 3 very, very important people passed away right at the beginning of the video. One of my best friends from high school, Nancy, my mother, who was like my rock, passed away 6 weeks later, and then about 10 days later, the composer who I'd worked for at the music company passed away. They were all very sudden.
Well, it's apparent that you were supposed to be doing this. I mean,
yeah, it was like...
That's like being hit over the head with a sledgehammer saying, get on this, Lynn, there's a real need for it. And I'm just blown away. You just said between 210 and 430,000 people a year are dying due to medical error that is preventable?
Yes, it's from the Journal of Patient Safety. There are all kinds of statistics. Our film actually was sold all over the world. We're redoing our website. Right now it's under patientsafetyvideo.com, where we're going to allow people to buy a copy of this as a digital download. We had been selling it as a hard copy DVD, but I was running back and forth to the post office all the time. So if people are interested in a free hospitalization checklist, this is an extra gift I'm going to be offering. You can email me at lynn@differencemakersmedia.com. I have another gift, though, that I want to give to everyone listening today that will help them feel inspired, because I believe that we all need to continually inspire ourselves and believe in ourselves, because the road, our journey, is always going to be up and down. We're going to have things happen to us, whether we like it or not, and everything really depends on our attitude. So imagine, I had just been confronted with all these facts, Virginia, and then 3 people, they did not die as a result of medical errors, but they passed away, and there were 2 heart attacks, and my dear friend Shelley Elias had a multiple sclerosis problem, and he had an infection, and he passed away. But the long and short of it was, I came to a realization that time is precious, and we all need to live consciously. So we have to be aware of how we're spending our days. It's not like we have eternity. We have to realize that every day is important. How do we choose to spend it? So that made me aware that I really want to help other people who are out there making a difference. I want to help them make a bigger difference. I want to help them expand their exposure. I want to help them build their following. And I want to help them be able to attract more revenue. And there is a way to do that by how you write your story, how you speak your story, and also how you communicate with the media. So I came across all these realizations, and it kind of made me put a stop for a moment on how I was working and being more selective with who I was working for. But I think all of us really need to be aware that we can make a difference no matter what, even if we just say hello to someone in a friendly way. Even that alone can make someone feel uplifted. You don't know whose life you're touching. And after this whole experience with doing the video and having these unfortunate deaths happen all around me, I started being more open to the universe, and things started coming to me. Some of the people listening might have heard of Abraham Hicks. It's a spirit guide. But I felt like all of a sudden I was being directed to spiritual people out there, and I started attending business seminars that all had to do with attracting the right influences, and I found people even like yourself, Virginia, good-hearted, really spiritual, engaging people who all of us are really connected, and we all want to make a difference in our own way. So I think, as you said, the importance is getting our stories out there so we can build a bigger difference.
Oh, I'm so inspired, Lynn, by that, and obviously you've made a huge difference in people's lives already by producing this video. I'd like to take just a moment and do some call out to some wonderful people who I think are also difference makers in their own right who are joining us today. I see that we have Justina, and she's here all the way from Poland. Hi, Justina.
Whoa.
Great seeing you. We have Chandra Higgins. We have Doriana Peterson from Tucson, Arizona, hanging out with us. We've got Kim Adamoff and Kristen Drysdale, just to name a few. I just want to encourage any of you, if you have questions for Lynn or for myself, feel free to go ahead and put those questions in the comment section of the event page. We may not get directly to your questions today, but because we're trying to do an efficient format and get as much information to you as possible, just look for answers to your questions. In the comment area, we'll be sending those out either via more information or even via a video, perhaps, depending on what kind of questions come up. But also comments about how you'd like to make a difference in the world with the people that you're working with. This whole show is designed around inspiring women to bring out their best and share their gifts with the world, just like Lynn is doing with us today. So I appreciate all of you who are here with us live on this show, and also all of those who will be watching it. I know there are a lot of people said they couldn't make it live, but will be watching the replay, and I want to extend my greetings to you as well. So Lynn, let's talk a little bit about, we've got the difference maker thing going on here. How did you come about writing the children's book in this area?
Okay, well, good question. I want to answer it first with a quote, because I'm going to be giving a gift to everyone listening. If you go to lynn@differencemakersmedia.com, I'm going to be giving you an ebook on Believe in Yourself. So let me share with you a quote that ties in with the story. Believe that opportunity is everywhere and all around you. Believe you are here for a reason, and believe in something big. Your life is worth a noble motive. That last quote was from Walter Anderson.
Oh, so, we have to re-say that one.
Okay, believe in something
noble motive.
Big.
Say it again.
Believe in something big. Your life is worth a noble motive.
Believe in something
noble
big. Your
something
life is worth a noble motive. Did I
motive.
get that right?
Yes, by
That's a great
Walter
one.
Anderson. Yes, because, we all may be going about our lives and thinking that things are always happening to us, and they can, but we also can reach out and let the universe know that there's certain things we would like to come to us. So what happens to me, like you, Virginia, I'm sure many of you listening, is you get inspired being around different inspirational people. In fact, I heard Zig Ziglar speak many years ago, and I love this quote. He said, we all think that we have to give our bodies a bath every day, but how about our minds? Our minds need a bath every day. So we've got to feed it with inspirational information. So a number of years ago, I was on a video shoot because I love producing videos that make a difference. I was interviewing the co-founder of the International Crane Foundation, Dr. George Archibald. He's been saving the world's cranes. And he told me a story off camera that I thought was amazing, of how he danced with a rare whooping crane who thought she was human, and he danced with her to help her lay a fertile egg, because all cranes do a whooping crane, they do a dance before they lay an egg. And it took him 6 long years, but he finally did it. And he told me that story, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to write a children's book. Now, had I ever written a children's book before? No, but I've written a lot for business people, so I got on a sidetrack journey of writing. And I worked on the story. It still is not published. It's going to be published this year. But I put out to the universe, as each of you can do, what is your intention? What do you want to have happen? And so I got a call from Capstone Press. They are a work-for-hire publishing company. So if any of you are writers out there and you want to get hired for a project, you can send them your resume. They called me and said, we're doing a series of books on justice, on animal justice, on political justice, on social justice. I have the book here. Here it is, social and animal environmentalism. And they asked me if I would do a book on social justice for children. So I said, well, let me think about it. And they said, we want you to know you would not own any royalties, so I don't get any royalties from this. We'll just pay a flat fee. Would you like to do it? You will get the credit. I consulted with my father, who was a retired doctor and now an author of books, of sports books and other books. And he said, why not go for it? You'll get the credit. So I did. I did research. I met some wonderful people online and created this book as part of a series. It's available on Amazon. And I learned a lot, and it inspired me to continue, wanting to write my own pieces, like this children's story about George and Tex. So I think that basically what's really important for everyone to realize is to have the intention out there in the universe, whether you do it on social media, whether you put it out even silently or out loud. The universe can hear what we want, and it will respond.
I love that. Could you hold that book up for a moment and leave it there for people to see?
Sure. So this is the book that was put together by Capstone Press, Social Justice, How You Can Make a Difference. My name is on it. There, so is it somewhere at the bottom? And then and I got to include this is a how-to book. So I got to include different stories of children who created their own nonprofits. And the publisher narrowed it down to 4 different children. As it turned out, one of the children who's highlighted in the book is the nephew of a man I met at a T. Harv Eker business seminar years ago. You never know when you're going to meet people. And this wonderful man I met, Kareem Ismail, told me about his nephew, who started out at age 4 collecting money, selling clementines because there were victims of an Indian earthquake. So he went around door to door to get money for the victims, and he ended up becoming a huge difference maker, starting his own business. So this is a how-to to teach children that they can make a difference with stories and practical information of what they need to do.
I love it. So they can find that on Amazon if they're interested in getting it, and the proceeds don't go to you, the proceeds go
No, it goes to Capstone Press is the publisher, and I think it's available for something like $14 on Amazon. And it's a nice hardback book.
Well, that reminds me of a story of a girl here in Reno last year who started hugs for all the victims of the tornadoes in Oklahoma.
Yes.
And so she just collected all these teddy bears and ended up taking a truckload of teddy bears to all the children there who were devastated by those tornadoes. And since then, she has gone on, and she's just quite young. She's gone on to do collections for numerous other causes with the teddy bears because people need a hug in times of challenge. So
oh, that's
gives you a good one to
beautiful.
go into
Definitely.
the second edition.
Definitely. You know, I think the thing about children is they're so open to possibilities. And we as adults, we've heard no's a bunch of times, and we get it stuck in our system that, oh, we can't do it. But why not? I think all of us need to be able to be willing to step out of our comfort zone and do things we haven't done before. You never know what can happen.
Absolutely. I hope that's an inspirational tip to all of you. Well, Lynn, let's take a few minutes on some of your top tips that you did want to share with us. You have some tips to write copy and then some tips to work with media. What do you want our viewers to know that they can apply in their business?
Okay, well, here's your number one top tip by all listening. For writing or video or media, I want you to think in terms of benefits. And when you're writing your message, you're not writing from the I viewpoint, but you're writing from the you viewpoint, meaning what benefit are you giving to your prospect? So I'll give you an example. One of my contacts is a person who does educational work and developmental work for a sexual abuse center. It's a very serious topic. And I said to her, as consulting, what do you say to people when you're networking? And she says, well, I tell them I'm a developmental director for a sexual abuse center. And I said, okay, and what do they say? And she said, well, they don't know what to say. You know, they say, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, that's coming from an I viewpoint. It doesn't give any benefits. I said, why don't you say something in terms of the benefit? For instance, I'm here to help keep people safe when they are in trouble. So the benefit is we help keep people safe. Do you know people who feel unsafe? Immediately that will grab the attention of someone, and she said, wow, thank you. So when you're writing or when you're doing your media copy, think in terms of benefits to the ultimate client. Now, in doing that, you also want to use their language. So that's another tip. Tip number 2, I was working on a video series for Alexian Brothers Healthcare System, and they had a series of videos that they wanted to go out to 2 audiences, physicians and consumers. So I said, well, don't you talk differently to a doctor than you would to a consumer? And they said, well, yes. So I suggested they think of creating the video almost like a Lego kit, a puzzle. A certain part of the video would be the same. The history of their company, if they wanted to include that, would be the same. But the practical tips that they would give to a physician would be obviously different than a consumer. So again, the second tip is talk in the language of your audience. It's very important. And the third tip in writing your work is I would really recommend, and this is not coming from you, but in any of your copy, please include testimonials. People, there's a saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So how do they know how much you care unless other people are saying how great you are? So Virginia has done some coaching for me. She coached me, and she said, will you give me a testimonial? I said, of course, because Virginia can tell people how wonderful she is, and she is wonderful. You can see her right there. But people still like to hear other testimonials, right? So we all need to collect testimonials, even if we're Superman. You know, we need to have other people say great things about us. So those would be
three writing tips you would give is think in terms of benefits, number 1. Number 2,
yes.
Write in the language of your audience so they can really relate to it. And number 3 is people want to know how much you care, and they can share that through testimonials.
Exactly. Those are, I'd say, the top 3 things I would recommend.
Great. Now, how about working with media? I know you've got some juicy tips in that department.
Okay, you're ready. On media tips, I recently did some media consulting for the JCC of Chicago, the Jewish Community Center, and I was dealing a lot with publicity. And the first thing may be obvious to some of you, but when you are communicating to the media, you want to first ask them politely if they have a minute. And I even do this with friends and business colleagues. The media, they are busy people. They get maybe 100 press releases a day, so, or probably more. So they're busy and they're often on deadline. You want to ask them if they have a minute for a pitch. Secondly, I'm imagining that you've already written out your press release, because that's a whole other story, how to write a press release. But when you're talking to them, you want to be really concise. So I found it very helpful to write down what I want to say to them and have it in front of me so I don't get tongue-tied. You remember, they may only say, and they have said to me, okay, I have 1 minute. Go. You've got to have your pitch down. What exactly do you want them to cover? What story? Why is it important to them to cover the story? All right. And then the third thing, when you're working with the media, you want to make sure you've got the right person. Sounds silly, but many big organizations like the Chicago Tribune, they have lots of reporters. So you can cut your time in half by, when you call a general number, find out who is the reporter that would handle your type of story. If it's an education story, who's the education reporter? Is it a healthcare story? Is it a political story? You want to go right to that person. And as an added tip, I would recommend following up with that person. So if you send out a press release, it certainly does not mean they've even looked at it. Remember, they're bombarded with news. So you want to follow up with an email, and you can also follow up with a phone call. And typically, mornings are better, but everybody has their own time frame, so you'll want to ask them. I think it's really important to be respectful. That's the main point in all these things.
Yeah, so in being respectful in relating to the media, first of all, you want to ask for their time. Do they have a minute for a pitch? It's a good idea to write that pitch down, because that may be all they give you is a minute, so write it down rather than try to remember it, and then make sure you're talking to the right person so that the pitch gets to the person you intended to get to, and then make sure you follow up. So you actually gave us a fourth tip.
A little bonus there, right?
That's your bonus this time. That's just terrific. Well, I'd like to end. I just see someone else who I know that just popped in. I want to acknowledge Nancy. Welcome from Spain. I just love it, all you people that are in an entirely different time zone joining us today. And Lynn has been sharing with us some wonderful tips on marketing, and has given us a wonderful background on how she came to be really focusing on the difference makers, and how she's developing difference makers media. And I just want to take a couple more minutes before we close for you to just sort of summarize, Lynn, where you're going with difference makers, what your intention is for the future in that regard.
Thank you, Virginia. Well, first of all, for those of you coming late, I want you to realize that my focus is helping expand your exposure, build your following, and helping you attract revenue by telling your stories online. If you feel you are a difference maker, and hopefully you are, feel free to send me an email at lynn@differencemakersmedia.com and tell me about yourself. I also want you to know that I would be happy to give each one of you a free ebook of Believe in Yourself. It's an ebook I put together of inspirational quotes. And I'm also going to be offering a package, a deeply discounted package of 4 coaching lessons, personal coaching with me for an hour. Normally that's a $700 package that I'm going to be giving at $297. That's for all 4 coaching sessions, and you can schedule them according to what's best for you. But if you're a difference maker, I want to find out about you, because my passion is help get your story out there. And I would love to be connected. As I've said before, and I think we're all in this together. We're all connected for higher reasons, and I would love to be a part of your success.
Thank you so much, Lynn. As I say, I hope that this show has inspired you to think about how you can make a difference, because I know each and every one of you, with your areas of expertise and your passions, fully want to make a difference. It's just the nature of women, isn't it? That we want to make a difference. We want to connect with other people in the world and be sort of that vehicle and that resource to help uplift other people. So I hope that Lynn has helped you today to get some ideas and take some of these tips she's given you and apply them to what you're doing. And also, absolutely, take Lynn up on her offer to get her inspirational quote book, and also to follow up with her and find out more about what she's going to be providing in coaching you to get your word out there and at such a reasonable fee, Lynn. I think that's just wonderful that you're offering that to our viewers. So thank you so much for that. And I also want to remind those of you who came in late, if you are interested in learning more about how to use Hangouts on Air to grow your visibility, your social influence, and reach new heights of success, then all you need to do is just to go ahead and text the word success to area code 307-269-2040. And if you're out of the country, just add a 1 before that. So it would be 1-307-269-2040, and you will receive a free assessment where you can find out all the different ways that you can use Hangouts on Air to grow and market your business and hang out like a pro. So I want to thank everyone for being here today. We're looking forward to offering this show on a weekly basis. I'm just in the process of getting that set up. I'm very excited to learn more about all you wonderful women out there that are making a difference and sharing your passions with the world. So I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you as well. And once again, I want to thank Lynn for joining us today. Lynn, would you mind just giving us a final word that we can take home?
Yes, thanks, Virginia, and I thank you for letting me be on this program. The saying that Gandhi had given out that many people have heard, I think, is a great one to conclude with this. You can be the change you want to see in the world. So I want to let everyone know that it's all up to us. We can choose to think positively, and we can be the change. Just as Virginia is out there sharing these stories with us, I want you, each of you, to feel empowered that you can be the change that you want to see in the world. Keep thinking positively and keep being inspired. And thank you, Virginia. You are an amazing host. I am so honored and grateful to be here with you.
Thank you, Lynn. And again, thank all of you for joining us. And please let other people know about our show. And if you're someone who thinks you might have a great message to share with other women that you want to help inspire them, contact me. I'd love to get to know more about you, and perhaps you can be one of my guests on the show. We're signing off for now, but again, I want to thank you for joining us. I hope you go out and have an inspired day and an even better week. I'm envisioning your success. Thanks again. Bye now.
Bye-bye.